guys. I really gotta figure out this. Hello. I need a new tripod thingy. This one's so frickety jacked up. Good evening. I hope you had an easy day. I wish I could say I did, but I didn't today, but that's okay. Not every day can be easy. Howdy, hello from Tennessee. Hi guys. I always, just so you guys know, I will usually hop on early if I set a live event, especially if I set it late, because it forces you to set, you can't set a live event like within the next 2 hours. You have to set it later. So I usually use whatever the earliest time is that I can. I can't stand that this is. All right, let's get to the point. I want to hear about Britney. Okay, but I am early, so I want to give people some time to get in. If you're okay with that, Foxy Freckles. I'm gonna need a second. Plus, we just got a brand new document, like literally while I was sitting here. Damn, that's awesome. Okay. I also did not, I'm gonna just re-download these guys. I also did not review the other document. It was Jodi's document that was reported on, and I honestly didn't notice that it was filed until later this afternoon when I was like, oh, I guess we'll just go live and talk about it, and then I'll do it tomorrow, probably like 3:30. I didn't even realize it was a new document. I was just refreshing the court's website and checking on to see if there were any documents filed today, not even realizing that the file date would still be Friday because they were filed on Friday. They just weren't available to the public on Friday. Anyway, #1 lawyer in California, thank you. Am I late? You are not late. I have my wine, my water, and my scrunchie. And you know what's funny? When I get on here, a lot of times you guys will see me like sometimes trip over, or I won't slur my words, but my mouth gets stuck, which sounds like a weird way to say it. And I always wonder, like, I wonder if people think I'm just like wasted from this like 5 sips of wine that I've had. But I think what it is, I eat sunflower seeds like they're going out of style during the day. And I think it's like the dryness from my lips and then all of a sudden just like talking a ton. I think that's what it is. What kind of law do I specialize in? Personal injury. But I also do business and contracts and transactional stuff. You're fine. I know you were meaning to be funny. I know you were. You're good. I was being funny right back. I can't get behind sunflower seeds. It's a story for another day. I'm addicted. Where's Tim? Tim is on his way back from, let's say it together, the golf course. Because where is Tim always on his way back from? Let's say it together, the golf course. I downloaded all these documents, but in order to review them, that's also just a long story. I don't need to tell you guys. My Adobe Reader is like off on here for some reason. I can't download it. So you didn't miss anything. I need a full 1 liter Pellegrino bottle for my lives. Yeah, it gets like so. You guys are very, very, very welcome. There's Tim. You didn't miss anything. Oh, Tim. I know that live, man. Maybe he can, as we get into this and he gets in here, maybe he can redeem himself. Maybe he can do a little sweeping or something. I've never noticed any slurring or sounding funny. It's like an enunciation. It's not even slurring. It's like my mouth will get like, it's dry. Oh, I can't pull up Instagram because I'm on my phone. Okay, it is 5:26. Shall we get started? If Britney requests the hearing be open again, does that change anything? I don't think that the judge would. Maybe. It really depends. The judge didn't have to the last time. But I also think that was more a factor of the court hearing was public. LA County Court had the public listening option. So it was just like kind of a perfect storm. You made it, Blanca. Okay. So the docs I want to go over. Let me actually pull these guys up real quick so that I have them all. I need to change the default. So this is a first look. I have not reviewed these yet. And I think that's important because what I'm going to talk to, we're just going to go through this is Jodi's response to Jamie Spears. Quick context. Jamie Spears in 2019 was resigned as conservator of Britney Spears' person. He's still the conservator. Are you dying in the heat? I actually worked out today outside and it wasn't as bad as yesterday. Thank God. So in 2019, Jamie Spears resigned as conservator of the person. He still is conservator of the estate. At that point in time, Sam Ingham, who has been Britney Spears' court-appointed attorney since 2008 when this was formed, requested the court appoint Jodi Montgomery as the conservator of the person. It is my understanding that at that point in time, she was appointed as temporary conservator, similar to how Bessemer Trust was appointed as temporary co-conservator, with the permanent position being petitioned for last year and then ordered in June. So the petition before the court, this is where it gets like very, hold on a second. I'm gonna get you guys, I wanna show you guys something. The phone's on.
You're online?
I'm online.
Don't say anything or do anything?
Don't say anything or do anything. First, I do need you to do your mea culpa, because obviously, you would not take $200,000 if your wife wanted to fight for justice, right?
What do you mean wanting to fight for justice?
Fight for Britney. So, what I wanted to get, I printed this out. These are the notes for the court that the court gives to the petitioner, the parties in the case. This is 48 pages of discussion on the prior hearings, what the parties need to do, and I completely forgot that these would be on file in a separate area of the court. And it's a very sweet lady who follows me that subscribed to my YouTube channel and gave me, told me like, hey, check this out. And I completely forgot. I need to give her credit. Let me give her credit real quick. I want to make sure that I do that. And so I pulled these. This is 48 pages of notes for the hearing that is going to happen on Wednesday. These are just notes related to the hearing on Wednesday. I think that's important context. 48 pages. So before we get, let me give credit where credit is due. Shannon M, that's all I know. Shannon M. So thank you, Shannon, for your very helpful note. So what we're going to be looking at and going line for line on is the backup. So in 2019, he resigns. Jodi Montgomery gets appointed as temporary. And then in 2020, Sam Ingham, acting as Britney Spears' attorney, court-appointed attorney, petitions the court to appoint Jodi Montgomery as permanent conservator of the person. So that hearing was set and then continued a couple times. So let me go to that hearing on here so that you guys have context. Because it wasn't until Britney... That was my fault. I'm back. That was my fault. 1 second. That was my fault. I know it froze again. It froze again because I had to check, but my phone was dying. So, I don't know. I looked back up and I was frozen. So let me repeat a couple things. This has been continued once. What I'm going to read to you are the court notes for this specific petition. So this is the petition before the court, the moving papers. That's what we call the petition, is the moving papers. So somebody's asking the court to do something. Who? Sam Ingham on behalf of Britney Spears. What? Jodi Montgomery as conservator of Britney's person. It was originally set to be heard, looks like, well, last year, and then it was continued to April. And then this note says, pursuant to the April minute order, was continued to July 21st. It found that various fee petitions have not been cleared. Let's see, they talk about the accounting. The court continued the matter and gives the following okay to be heard on the continued date. Britney Spears is conservatee and requesting appointment of Jodi Montgomery, current temporary conservator of the person, as conservator of the person. There would be no bond involved, which is just a note from the court. Talks about notice. Sam Ingham alleges he has requested the resignation. This is kind of interesting. Resignation of Jamie, the current conservator of the person, who temporarily relinquished his powers in September of 2019. Petitioner alleges that the proposed conservator of the person has acted as temporary conservator of the person since that time. So Jodi's acted since September of 2019 as conservator of the person, but only in a temporary capacity. Petitioner expressly reserves the right to petition for termination of the conservatorship. This is interesting. So at that time, petitioner, this is Sam Ingham acting on behalf of Britney. Petitioner expressly reserves the right to petition for termination of the conservatorship under Probate Code Section 1861. Nothing within this petition shall be deemed to constitute a waiver of that right. So that tells me that Sam Ingham has set this up in such a way that he is telling the court specifically, listen, we want to move Jodi from temporary conservator to permanent conservator, but we're not, by way of making this request, saying that we agree with carrying this stuff on. I have no idea about, what Blanca said. I have no reason to believe that Britney has any control over her social media. None. Is it possible the judge will delay things on Wednesday and choose a later date? Always possible. I don't know what the Red Rose Project is or what's going on with Britney's Instagram, but I want to stay with this because I'll get, this is going to take a second to get through because my husband downs a liqueur in front of me. Okay. So there was an objection filed by, the court is writing these notes. There was an objection filed by Jamie Spears, and this was served and filed and served after Britney's June 23rd statements. Jamie argues that he is not conservator of the person. At the recent June 23rd, 2021 hearing, Conservatee appeared telephonically and made heartfelt statements to the court for no less than 24 minutes. Based on her statements to the court, objector is concerned that the petition, the instant petition, does not reflect her wishes. AKA, Sam Ingham's asking for Jodi to be placed in this permanent role, but Britney herself said Jodi's taken it too far. Alleges that Conservatee told the court on the 23rd that she opposed being under a conservatorship and revealed her ongoing disputes about her medical treatment and other personal care issues. He argues that these statements contradict the notion that she would seek to have Jodi Montgomery appointed as permanent conservator of the person. Alleges that Britney neither signed nor verified the instant petition, the petition before the court, which is to move Jodi from temporary, yes, they're notes from the court, from temporary to permanent. These are public documents, though. I'm not like sharing anything that's private. Alleges there is not even a nomination for Jodi's appointment signed by Britney. He alleges that he has not served as Conservatee's person for nearly 2 years when he relinquished those powers to Jodi. Jamie alleges he has no intention of serving in the role of conservator of the person ever again. He states that Sam Ingham incorrectly states that the Conservatee's incapacity to consent to any form of medical treatment was determined by order of the court filed in this matter on October 10th, 2014. However, there was no such finding and there is no such order. Jamie Spears states that it is unclear whether Britney is even aware of and agrees with the statements in the petition filed by Sam Ingham, moving Jodi to permanent outside of temporary, including specifically that she lacks capacity to give informed consent for her own medical treatment. So what this is saying is Jamie Spears is objecting to the petition, moving Jodi from temporary to permanent, saying Britney hasn't signed this. We're not even sure that Britney knows what is included in this petition. Love you. Including that she lacks capacity to give informed consent on her own medical treatment. He alleges that this is something that should be further investigated by the court. So, those are the notes now, and that gives you kind of a background of what the papers are before the court. And now we're going to go into Jodi's response. Yeah, a couple people have sent me the stuff about Congress getting involved. See, I'm not a legislative analyst, so maybe it's good, maybe it's not, I don't know. I do think she has a chance to get out of this. So now he wants to make sure she's okay with it. Yeah, I mean. Okay, so Jodi Montgomery's response. So this is going to be my family, folks. So Sam Ingham files, requests Jodi be moved from temporary to permanent. That hearing is done, and then you can't be in here, Ben.
I know, I'm giving a plate for Dad.
Okay. So that hearing happens. Then we have, that hearing is set and then continued. Then June 23rd, Britney speaks. And then after that, her father's like, wait a minute. You want to put Jodi up on this, in this permanent position, but look at what Britney just said. And so he files the objection that we kind of just went through notes on. Baby, will you let her out? Sorry, guys. This is life.
Go. Bella, come on.
Sorry, guys. So this is Jodi. So Jamie Spears files an objection to the petition of appointing Jodi as permanent conservator. And now Jodi's responding to those allegations. Real life is in progress. This is not a simulation. I have 3 cats, 3 dogs, and 3 chickens. Listen, life is crazy over here. And 3 people. This is complicated. And so 2 things. I'm going to go through this meticulously and do my absolute best. Can you be a little bit quieter, baby? It is only 3 pages long, basically. Everyone's asking good questions, but type it out and hit send when she's looking at the camera. Do me a favor, if you guys have questions and you think that they're good questions, I assume, put them in the question and answer box, and then that way I will be able to see them even if it scrolls back. Does that make sense? This is going to be complicated. I'm going to do my best to break it down. And I haven't looked at this yet, so maybe it's not. I will upload this to YouTube later. But one, if there's anything that you don't understand what we just talked about, right, throw it into the question box. 2, y'all aren't meant to understand this. That's why we have people in positions like me or other people to break this stuff down. Court, especially like complicated matters like this, are not meant for people to be in pro per and dealing with this stuff on an everyday basis. That's why you have me. So, I almost feel like I'm the mentor and you're the mentee. Like, we're just gonna break this down together, and if you have any questions, let me know, but you've got this. You've got this. It is complicated, but you're completely capable of handling it. So, it starts off, Jodi Montgomery, as temporary conservator of the person of Britney Spears, hereby responds to James P. Spears' petition for instructions and order investigating issues and claims raised by Britney Jean Spears at June 23rd, 2021 hearing, petition for instructions, and states as follows. Real quick, remember, those of you who have been here with me before, probate court's a different animal. There's different kinds of courts in the state of California. Can you turn that down just a little bit? That's going to be fun for the YouTube people to watch. Hi, on the replay. In probate court, you can do things that you can't do in other courts, such as ask for instructions and directions before before the issue arises. So that's kind of what Jamie Spears, part of what he's doing here. You kind of get to tell the court, like, well, what if we did this? How would you rule? Versus in civil court, you don't get to do that. The courts look at that as like wasting their time. You don't have standing to sue. If it hasn't happened, don't come to me. But in probate court, it's different. It's different. Intro law for dummies. Except you guys aren't dummies. I would never call you that. This is not Jamie's response. This is Jodi's response to Jamie. What's interesting about that is Sam Ingham for Britney was the moving party. So he files papers asking to appoint Jodi. Britney speaks on June 23rd, and Jamie's like, whoa, what Britney said. Look at what Britney said. I'm going to respond / object / ask for ask for instructions. And then Sam Ingham's over here. Jamie responds, and then Jodi comes in with the response to Jamie. Is this how Kim K learns to lawyer? Maybe. Some of you guys are dummies. And Britney is paying for all these lawyers, yeah. Why are they responding publicly now instead of waiting until court to respond? These documents have to be filed. These documents have to be filed and served because all parties need to know, in order to have the most expeditious court process and hearing on the 14th, everybody needs to know where each party is coming from. And to the extent Jamie's now filed a response to the petition, it's a good idea for Jodi, and made his position known to the court. Jodi must then do the same. Additionally, it would be ignorant for us to pretend like this isn't also playing out in the court of public opinion with you and I. So, and this kind of in some ways reads like that. Intro. On June 23rd, 2021, Ms. Spears spoke in open court, we know this, and made a number of serious allegations about her treatment since her conservatorship was established in 2008. Pointing back to, listen, I've only been here for 2 years. Her statements go back to 2008. In response, Mr. Spears, as her sole or co-conservator from the very start, filed this petition for instructions. Rather than actually asking for, I'm reading this line for line, rather than actually asking for instructions, as the statute contemplates, what we just discussed, Mr. Spears has instead demanded a court-ordered investigation and evidentiary hearing so he can defend himself against his daughter's accusations. This court should not take the bait. Mr. Spears' thinly veiled attempt to clear his name is absolutely procedurally defective and must fail. So what she's saying is, the statute complicates for a petition for instructions, you, petitioner, giving the court like we just discussed, like, here's what could happen, how would you rule, what would you say, versus what she's alleging, what Jodi's alleging Jamie Spears is using this for, which is an evidentiary hearing to determine past conduct, not future actions, but past conduct, and using the court's evidentiary hearing or an evidentiary hearing before the court to make findings on that. So it's almost like I'm spitballing here, so I'm just kind of like trying to talk this through, but it's almost like a hearing on, like, what would the court's ruling be if we looked at how the parties have acted in this process, but he's only wanting to look at Jodi, not him. I don't know, it's very bizarre. Very bizarre. Okay. And she's saying procedurally it must fail. In other words, like, the way he set this all up isn't even contemplated by the statute, so you should deny it on those grounds. Barring that, the petition should be continued until Ms. Spears has counsel who can fully represent her interests. So this is obviously filed after Sam Ingham has submitted his resignation. Number 2, the so-called petition for instructions is procedurally defective. So she's going to go into that more. Mr. Spears, baby girl, will you get him? Petition for instructions purports to be based on California Probate Code Section 2403. That section provides that upon petition of the guardian or conservator, the court may authorize and instruct the guardian or conservator, or approve and confirm the acts of the guardian or conservator in the administration, management, investment, disposition, care, protection, operation, or preservation of the estate, or the incurring of payment of costs or fees or expenses in connection therewith. So that's clearly just like, that's a code. And it's exactly what we just discussed. Despite its title, Mr. Spears' petition for instructions has a fatal flaw. It does not actually ask for instructions! Exclamation point. That's bold. That's bold. At no point does Mr. Spears actually ask for the court's approval, confirmation, or instructions as to any of his actions as conservator of the estate, as expressly required by 2403, the court section, or the code section. Rather than actually ask for instructions, as he claims, Mr. Spears instead directs the court to, quote, investigate the veracity of the allegations and claims made by Ms. Spears at the June 23rd, 2021 status hearing. But Mr. Spears does not stop there. He also, underlined, demands an evidentiary hearing so that the court can confirm, 1 second. Happy birthday, Kayla. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this is your best year yet. Because you know why? We all deserve it, and you deserve it too. I saw that, so I want to make sure I stopped. Mr. Spears does not stop there. He also demands an evidentiary hearing so that the court can confirm whether or not Ms. Spears' testimony was accurate in order to determine what corrective actions, if any, need to be taken. Mr. Spears claims this court-ordered investigation and evidentiary hearing is necessary so he can, quote, I know, I can feel whoever wrote this. It's like, you want to do this so you can, quote, do this. You say you want that, but this is what the, quote, statute says. Like, I can feel, like, I know. It's like, I'm just going to use what you said. I'm going to show you how wrong you are. Mr. Spears claims this court-ordered investigation and evidentiary hearing is necessary so he can, quote, have a full and fair opportunity to respond to allegations and claims asserted against him by his daughter. AKA, you said you wanted this petition for instructions so that the conservator of the person or the estate, him as the estate, is how he would have to petition. That's how he has standing to petition for instructions here. He is acting in this matter as an interested party, kind of as the dad, but mostly as the conservator of the estate. So if you're asking for the court to tell you how you should act, which is what a petition for instructions is, if you're asking for the court to tell you how to act, then it must be in your capacity then as conservator of the person. But what you're doing here is, I want the opportunity to respond to what Britney said about me when I was conservator of the person. But that's not what a petition for instructions does. And that's what Jodi's saying. So she goes on to say, so he wants this to have an opportunity to respond to allegations and claims asserted against him by his daughter, which she says is interesting, so snarky, in light of the near $1 million in fees recently incurred by his crisis PR specialist in only a 4-month period. Which is true. Recently, the fees requested to be confirmed by the court were $1 million for like 4 months. The latest demand for an investigation and evidentiary hearing under the guise of instructions appears to be a continuation of that public relations campaign. There is, this is kind of touched on in that accounting that I made videos about earlier, but there's multiple references of this PR campaign that's been had over the last year, and Jamie Spears' attempt to rehabilitate his image and the conservatorship's image. And so what she's saying is that money was incurred in order to rehabilitate your image, and now you want to continue to use this court then to refute the claims made by Britney, which is not what this court is there for. To the extent there hasn't been anything brought against Jamie for him to refute. Statements were made. That's it. No one's filed any action against him in regards to this yet. Nope.
Can I just give you a hug?
Nope.
I don't want to be in the film. I just want to give you a hug.
No. I love you.
Love you too. Hey, honey. You want to help me with my TV up tomorrow? In my room? Or do you want to start that tonight?
Is there any way you guys could be a little bit more quiet? I've got
Yes, sorry.
771 lovely people sitting here trying to listen to my meticulous discussion.
Sorry. Sorry.
This latest demand for an investigation and evidentiary hearing under the guise of instructions appears to be a continuation of that public relations campaign. Further evidentiary hearings in probate court are only had on petitions seeking specified relief, not a petition like this one seeking an investigation. So what's important, that's what I was getting to before I was so rudely interrupted. Nothing's been filed against him that he needs to refute. There's been while there were allegations generally made by Britney, and some specific, there's been no filings, shockingly, of any, requests for sanctions or requests for removal or no civil filings by another attorney representing Britney against her father for breach of fiduciary duty. There's such a myriad of different causes of action that could have come up from the allegations that she made, and none of those have been brought. So this is extremely premature. We call this not ripe for discussion in the law. Like, it's not ripe yet. No one's asking you to refute the allegations. So why are you bringing this court into it? And arguably, I guess you could say, like, if this court has an evidence, I'm trying to think this through. If this court, because these are very smart attorneys, and they're getting paid a lot of money, way more than I make. I'm trying to think if arguably, if this court makes a finding on his duties and his failure or lack of a failure, or his meeting of the duties historically in this case, if that finding would be binding on a future matter. Like, I don't know if that is what they're going for. I'm just, again, spitballing. So if this court sets an evidentiary hearing and determines that nothing that Britney said or that Jamie acted completely within his rights in all aspects of this conservatorship, would Britney then be barred later from making a request of the court? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But maybe somebody else does. Further evidentiary hearings and probate, Thus, such demands to this court are not only procedurally defective, but are wholly improper to boot. Trying to see, somebody say something. Question. Number 4, and this is the final page. At the very least, the petition should be continued until Ms. Spears has new counsel. Ms. Spears will soon be without a lawyer to represent her interests. Her current counsel, Sam Ingham, and his associated counsel, Loeb and Loeb, have just tendered their joint resignations of counsel to this court, and they are set for hearing along with every other fucking matter on July 14th. For those that have not been here before, my position on the resignation is I, again, have not seen a civil matter where the attorney gets to tell the court they resigned, even if it's court appointed. Once you're in a matter, you are in it, and you can't cause the client any undue, unnecessary harm by removal. So Sam Ingham needs to continue to prepare for these hearings and prepare for, all 14 of them, and adequately represent Britney, even though he's tendered his resignation. The procedural format that I have usually seen and participated in is what's called a request for withdrawal, or a petition to withdraw, where you tell the court, listen, here's a very far away view of the circumstances, because you can't breach attorney-client confidentiality. You can't tell the court, like, hey, I told her that she could end this conservatorship, and she told me she didn't want to, and now I can't represent her. You can't say that, because that's a breach of attorney-client privilege. Arguably, he tiptoed up to that line at the hearing on the 23rd when he talked to the court after Britney spoke. So in this situation, the fact that he's like, I'm leaving, and didn't ask for the court's permission, I thought was interesting. It's of note to me. At that time, at the July 14th hearing, Ms. Spears will either be appointed a new CAC counsel or be allowed to retain counsel of her choice through a guardian ad litem or otherwise. In any event, Ms. Spears should have a voice in whether her conservatorship estate, i.e. Mr. Spears, should fund an investigation and evidentiary hearing that gives Mr. Spears, quote, a full and fair opportunity to respond to allegations and claims asserted against him. Throwing his words back at him. And presumably, and where presumably, Britney herself may be called as a witness. Thus, if the petition for instructions is not denied, outright. It should be at a minimum continued until Ms. Spears has counsel to evaluate and respond to this petition on her behalf. No, Britney's estate is paying for all of this. Aw, your daughter turns 11. She ordered a free Brit shirt from Etsy to wear. That's awesome. He said they discussed it. That's a breach in my eyes. How is that a tiptoe? I'm trying to be nice. These notes are not, no, I read the notes earlier. This is the actual petition or the response by Jodi Montgomery that's filed with the court. Number 5, last paragraph. Why isn't he responsible for paying for a lawyer? The easiest way to say this is the but-for test. But for Britney being in a conservatorship, she would need a conservator, and her conservator would need counsel. So he's in the position as conservator, he needs counsel. Therefore, the conservatorship estate should pay for it. While the public may disagree with this at large, the conservatorship doesn't benefit him, it benefits Britney. So Britney's estate would pay for the benefits that she is receiving, theoretically. Now, that's how the law views this. I understand that's not necessarily how the public views this. It should be noted that, as required by Probate Code Section 1850, this case has been investigated by the court on an ongoing basis since its inception. In fact, it is our understanding that the Probate Investigator's Office has investigated this case at least annually, if not more frequently, since 2008, which is interesting. But make no mistake, Ms. Montgomery is in full support of the court ordering an additional investigation into Ms. Spears' claims. To that end, Ms. Montgomery is currently preparing a comprehensive care plan with Ms. Spears' medical team that will address all the issues raised by Ms. Spears that relate to her conservatorship of the person under Ms. Montgomery's tenure as her temporary conservator of the person. This comprehensive care plan will not just answer any questions about Ms. Montgomery's tenure, but will also offer Ms. Spears a path to ending her conservatorship of the person as she so unequivocally desires. Based on the foregoing, Ms. Montgomery requests Mr. Spears' petition for instructions and order, yada, 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 be denied in its entirety or continued until such time as Spears is represented by new counsel. Does Jamie get paid? Yes, he does. He gets a salary. I think she has a shot. Okay, let me go to questions. Goal for Wednesday. It's really, there are 14 different petitions, motions, accountings. I'm trying to think what else there is. I mean, resignations. There's all kinds of stuff set for the 14th. So it's going to be up to the court. I haven't seen anything that makes me think otherwise. It's going to be up to the court to determine what order to take that stuff in. It's also being alleged that, or discussed, that Britney's new attorney will be present in court on Wednesday. So, I mean, if he comes in and says, Your Honor, I'm ready to be appointed. I've got everything, piece of hair. I've got everything in line. We can move forward and get this all done. It's not going to go away. We can, just accept Sam Mangum's resignation, appoint me, and we're good to go. And then let's move on with the next hearing. Do we want to take out Bessemer? I mean, figure all of that out. But I have to believe that that's the first matter on calendar, but maybe not. Maybe not. So yes, I agree. And it's super interesting that the only people that we know really in recent history that have needed this are women. And the length of time, I understand that Amanda Bynes is a similar issue, but I would argue that Amanda Bynes is also living a more, she's been more public about her struggles. And she's also been, public perception only, She's been more quiet on the work front. Like, she's not appearing in a bunch of movies or touring or doing any of that stuff. So, see, I hope they do. That's my thought. Her lawyer is within the confines that Lynn Spears petitioned. He should be. Sounds like he's got a good CV. Well qualified. I mean, if he's available and there, and Britney's already met with him and feels comfortable with him, my only other caveat would be, how did you come into finding this person? Who assisted you in this? Because if it's, the sucky part is, and I don't know how court would deal with this, but if Jodi helped her find this guy, is it going to be on Jodi's side? Because we know Sam Ingham helped appoint Jodi, or pointed towards Jodi for appointment. Did Lynn do it? So you know, is this person going to be siding with Lynn in any of that? Like, that's the only issue I have. Had to block someone real quick. How will Lynn's petition weigh on Britney's freedom? Assuming we're talking about the petition with regard to her ability to choose her own counsel. I mean, to the extent what we just talked about, Britney can choose her own counsel, that'll be great. So many questions. See, Piper, I don't feel like that was necessary. I don't think that was necessary. Let's see. Real thoughts on Sam Ingham. I mean, everybody's wanting, like, oh my gosh, you guys, there's so many questions. I don't know the exact number on this, but I think it's like, I saw numbers bantered about at about like 16,000. I have a couple mods in here, but there's so many people. So if you guys can just bear with me, and yeah, it's too much for them. When we have this many people jump in to such a hot button topic, and then people see that there's a lot of people here and they want to be assholes, I'm sorry to the extent that happens. But if we can just ignore them and not give them the attention that they want, it'd be awesome. I know that I totally just did what I asked not to be done by putting somebody's comment on the screen, but we need to start filing our questions in advance. Like the court. Let me look. The only other thing I want to do is look at what that other filing was. If you saw when I popped on earlier, there was a new filing. So let me see what that was. 7-9 reply. One second. No. Gotta change the default. Open with PDF reader. Jeez. Oh, just supplementals to the petition. So Jodi's fees for the last 2 years of work, she's asking for $221,000 for November 2019 to February of 2021. So November, December, January, February, 16 months of work, whatever that ends up being, $221,000. I don't know if you guys think that that's fair or not. Additionally, she has outstanding fees in the amount of $44,000. She also has legal fees in the amount of $65,000. Authorizing and instructing currently serving conservative the estate. I don't know what these additional $13,000 in fees are. What's interesting is so all fees are being paid at 80% billed. It's just so interesting to me that they did that with everything, like all legal fees, all fees of the conservators. They're paying everything at 80% bills and 100% costs. So that means, like, if I am the attorney and I'm billing out, 50 hours a month at $100 an hour, I'm sending in my $5,000, fee, my bill every month for $5,000. When I get to court and we're doing the accountings the next year, they're only paying me $4,000 a month, which almost assumes that people are overbilling by 20%, but that's fine. Can you talk about the accounting a little? Yeah. I'll give you a general understanding of what accountings are. So if they know they are paying 80%, don't they just up the fee? So the way accountings work is you provide a comprehensive list of, it's like anybody who's done accounts receivable or payable or balance your checkbook, it's essentially that, but it's much more complicated. And so that's why you see a request for clarification or an objection filed by Britney's attorney last year with regard to the accounting, saying, well, it looks like Jamie Spears rented from Britney's company, but we don't see a journal entry for rent paid by Jamie Spears. And look at these, we happened to catch this one line item on a legal bill that was provided where a cease and desist letter was prepared by this law firm. This law firm who happens to also represent Lou Taylor and Britney Spears, like an LLC or something, some professional entities, I believe. And the cease and desist was sent by this law firm for Lou Taylor. It was like a website that somebody had created, like www.loutaylor.com, and it was defamatory, she said. But that cease and desist was billed to Britney and the conservatorship. So Sam Ingham comes back in the accounting and is like, wait a minute. So one, you didn't ask the court if it was okay for this attorney to both represent Britney's business interests and the person who's receiving compensation to manage Britney. Like, that can be a conflict of interest, some would argue. Additionally, now you're billing the conservatorship for Lou Taylor's personal cease and desist letters, which raises the eyebrows of the entire billing from that firm, potentially. Clarification is needed. Additionally, the Lou Taylor issue that was discussed in the TikToks that I posted earlier today is, interesting. Previously, Lou Taylor, as a management company, TriStar Entertainment, would bill hourly, it looks like, for their services that they provide to Britney and the entities and whomever else. And that was apparently pursuant to some contract, likely, right? It's ignorant in this day and age to be acting with this kind of money without a contract. And it didn't seem like any of the parties really knew where that was in July. Take a sip. So in 2019, Britney makes what I think was a power move and says, I'm out. I'm not letting you guys make any more money off of me. I'm not going to perform anymore. It's the only way Lou Taylor is making any money off of her. I'm done. I'm not performing. Well, Lou Taylor then, because she's billing time and now no longer has anything to bill against, but Britney's still her client, always allegedly. Did I say something? I love that you say interesting instead of saying shady. Someone caught that? I noticed that the other day too. I'm like, I always say it's interesting that this happens. So in 2019, Lou Taylor sends an email. I should pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because essentially what she was saying is, listen, your girl quit touring. I bill based off of the time that I incur I expect to make at least $400,000 to $500,000 a year on this. And now I don't have any money to make, so I'm just going to need to bill you a floor. And to the extent that I have any, what's interesting is she calls it like a true up. She says, well, to the extent we need to true up anything, it's like, well, what would you need to true up? If that is, like, if you're billing, it's not valid. I'm not gonna be able to pull it up. But if you're saying like, okay, well then I'll just bill you a floor of $500,000, and then if it's different, we'll true it up. Is it a floor, like a baseline at 500, or is it a flat fee of 500? Because truing up makes it sound like, well, if I've overbilled you or underbilled you, then we'll true it up at the end of the year. That part to me is like, you're not going to true anything up. You're either getting paid $500,000 or more. Hey, Riley. Lou Taylor needs some auditing, some serious auditing by a forensic auditor, maybe. What's a true up? So, just an accounting thing. Like look at it like you and your friend go to the store every couple days. One day you buy a Dr. Pepper for them. Next day they buy a Coke for you. And at the end of the year, you guys want to make sure that like it's even. And so you guys add up all the receipts, and at the end of the year you go, oh, you bought me more Dr. Pepper, you bought me more Cokes than I bought you Dr. Peppers. So I'm going to give you, whatever the balance of those sodas is. Here's $5 to true it up. You balance it out. It's like balancing your checkbook. Something that, not a lot of people do anymore. So just my issue with the Instagram is it doesn't feel like Britney Spears, in my opinion, has access. In fact, at least in the New Yorker article, it was discussed that while she provides some of the content for Instagram, they say most of the content, like 98% or something, it runs through a filter and it gets posted by the team. So please don't interpret Instagram as coming straight from Britney, because by their own admissions, if that's correct, it's not. There is some type of filter it runs through, some type of filter through the conservatorship. Yeah, and so I don't really discuss what happens on our social media. I watch it, but I don't really discuss it because it doesn't feel like it's happening in real time anyway. They try to make her look worse, yeah. But I will say, I think that, in my opinion, it's made them look a lot worse, because she seems, that's my opinion. I feel like they're imploding themselves. Smart people see through it. Could Lou be behind the Instagram? I guess. Jamie Lynn's book. Jesus. They often post the dancing videos when they want to defend the conservatorship. Did you get my tag about Britney and MJ and the conservatorship? I got a couple tags today, but I didn't watch through them all, so I'll look. Jamie Lynn Spears is releasing a book called I Must Confess. That's the tagline. I Must Confess, like stories of X, Y, and Z something. And they're like, oh no, it's not. It was titled something else. And then like over the last couple days, they changed it to I Must Confess, my life or stories of fame and something. And they're like, oh, it's not a quote from Britney's first hit song. No, it's not that. It's not that. Did you see the editor pulled the name? Yeah, I saw that they posted something about it. Author Jen Sterling on here actually sent me. Isn't that the name of OJ's book? I don't remember. Boyfriend Sam has commented on Britney's Instagram. He did comment on they posted a couple pictures from their trip to Maui or Hawaii. And the caption was, Sam looks like a dad in these pics or something. And he said, Dad Scary or something. I can't remember. I saw that. So I wonder if by seeing what he posts on and what he doesn't, you can read into what she has authorized or what she's asked them to post. OJ's was If I Did It. His Instagram makes her look much better. Yeah, there was pictures of them, like videos of them working out and stuff. Yeah. So, it's been about an hour. We're going to have a busy week. I'm going to let my family have some time with me because they love me just as almost as much as you guys do. I'm being silly. Could Jamie block new lawyer as conservator of the estate? He can't block anything. He can object. Hi, Peyton. There are a couple things that just like blow my mind. And one of them is you guys asking me to say hi to things. It warms my heart because it means that you guys care enough. And when you guys comment on the videos and you're like, oh my God, I'm the first one here. It always like, I don't feel like I'm that important to do that for, but thank you. You're welcome. So I've already got the live set for Wednesday if you guys want to mark that. And then depending on what gets filed tomorrow, I don't anticipate a ton more getting filed only because the deadlines for a lot of this, I mean, unless it's already been filed and it's just late uploads to the court's website, like we saw with this, with Jodi Montgomery's. If any of that comes up, I'll post, if we need to, we can go live tomorrow night. But otherwise I will be posting a quick couple videos on Jodi Montgomery's tomorrow. And then if anything else comes up, we can discuss. I do though, I'm going to go through this 48 pages tomorrow morning before I start in the office and see if there's anything that's of note, like we discussed with the accounting. So, Hannah, on the Hollis chats, we're doing a live YouTube next Thursday, not this Thursday, next Thursday. I'll try to find out, I'll schedule it, but we do live chats now on my YouTube channel for our Hollis community every 2 weeks. And then it'll be Thursday next week, but it'll be a different day the next time because I want to make sure that Kat gets in. So look out for that. I do have my own practice. Thank you, Jessie. Yes, Hannah. Awesome. I'm trying to make sure that every community gets like, the only thing that I'm really neglecting right now is the Erica Jane stuff, and I will pick that back up. The Britney stuff's been like way more, is it pressing if I don't have to do it? I think that's the word. It's been more active right now. There is some stuff going on with Erica Jane, but it's way more spread out, and I can't do both at once. I am a lawyer. Interesting. Next, Real Housewives of OC. Hey, Jessie. Intense. It is intense. Okay, guys, have a good rest of your day. I'll see you in the videos tomorrow. And yeah, talk soon.